Alright guys, this is a do-it-yourself fix for the IKEA Bekannt. As you can see, I was able to rewire it and reconfigure it with new components to make it work. And it should be much more reliable than the original. And so we're going to go through some things that you need. You're going to need two relays. You can get them here at findparts.com. And then you're going to need two momentary switches and a handful of these little wire connectors. And of course, you're going to need some wires. We had a bunch of them, and a resistor, a 0.10 UF Mylar capacitor.
All right, I'm going to show you the parts I got earlier today. I've got two of these relays. They're Bosch relays. I don't think they need to be Bosch. I went to a place that is a surplus gizmo shop in Aloha, and this is what they had available. And I found a schematic online how to wire it properly. So I've got two of those, and I've got two of these momentary switches. They're pretty nice. If you look at them, they're chrome or stainless, and basically you press it and let it go. It doesn't click or anything. So one switch will raise the table, and the other switch will lower the table, a lot like the original controller did. And then I also have these two resistors. And all of this together at the Gizmo shop was $16.50. So that's not bad. $16.50 to fix this table. Go to the end down here and pop it up. And remove. And we're going to remove these three Torx bit screws. One, two, three. Alright, we'll remove three screws. We will be putting them back on, so I suggest you set them in the plate that you removed. You need to pull the motor up. And the motor sits in this little cradle on this side with a rubber grommet. And I got my knee, if you can see my knee here, is underneath, keeping the table from becoming loose. And this just slides up. You just pull it up. And the reason I have my knee under there is because this turns and will adjust the height of the table. This electric motor turns this rod, which raises and lowers the table. So we're going to remove the electronics, pull it outward and up. Okay, and then let's go ahead and pull the yellow wire and connector off of there. We don't need it. And then we'll just set these off to the side and place the motor back where it goes. If it doesn't fit, it could be that the gear moved a little bit and you may have to spin it. But this will go back down. And this here, we can go ahead and unplug the fitting from it. And we want to remove these electronics here. Now, the only thing holding these electronics from being removed is, hopefully you can see this little black line plastic retainer. If you press it out of the way, you will be able to slide the electronics out and get rid of them, because we won't be needing them anymore. Now we can go ahead and place this retaining cover back on. and then we'll put our 3 screws back into it. Hopefully that noise of the drill isn't too terrible. I know it isn't the greatest sound on recording. Love my drill though, I use it for everything. So now we have successfully removed the electronic boards from both sides of the table. And we can move on to the next part of this conversion. Okay, so we want to go ahead and use this existing wire, and we are going to put these little caps on the end of those wires and connect them to the 2 motor terminals. Unfortunately, these wires are barely long enough, so normally I would like to leave a little wire on the end of this plastic thing so I could reuse it if ever, but I don't have that option this time. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them off right there next to the plug. Now I have these 3 wires, and I'm going to go ahead and use the red one and the black one. And a real easy tool for stripping wires is a barbecue lighter. Everyone may not agree with that, but you heat it up just a little bit, use your nail, and you pull it right off of there. It's not even hot enough to burn your hand, but it's smooth. It doesn't take off any of the wire. I think it's a good way to strip wires sometimes. Now we're going to go ahead and put these terminal ends on. Okay. And these pliers are great for squeezing here. Stick the wire inside, and you squeeze the end that has the plastic on it, and that will crimp the wire in there nice and tight. Sometimes you want to just double, make sure. If you really want to do a great job, you can solder these in there. You can make your wire longer and you can solder them. Okay. Alright, so we have those 2 on. I use some pliers here to help me kind of stretch it on there a little better. So those are on there pretty good, and there is a little bit of slack still in the wire, so that's good. We're done with this side. We're going to go do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, and then we're going to connect them. I want to point out that on the other side, the red was the bottom one and the black was the top one. On this side would be exactly the same. The red on the bottom and the black on the top. Because if you get those backwards when we're done, what's going to happen is one side of the table will go up and the other side will go down. And that's not good. So make sure you get that right, or you'll have to go back and change it. Okay, we have this wire that has these ends on both ends. Went ahead and fold it in half and cut it in half. I did it a minute ago off. I didn't record it, but inside of it is a black wire, a white wire and a silver wire. Now, you may not feel safe doing this, but I go ahead and I will make a slice down the wire. As you can see here, and you just be very careful. Try not to cut too deep into the wire. You only want to really cut the outside sheath on there if you can. Once you do that, you'll be able to pry it apart and get the 3 wires on the inside out and exposed. Like so. 1, 2, and then this one you just kind of have to wrap, the silver one. And then we'll go ahead and get rid of this extra plastic by cutting it off. There we go. Now we have our 3 wires. Go out and get our handy dandy barbecue lighter. And we will toast and peel the 3 ends. Or 2 ends, I guess it would be. 2 ends on that one. And 2 ends on this one. There you go. Okay, moving forward. Go ahead and take the 2 silver ones and put them together. Like so. Make it nice and tight so there's no fraying on the end. And then the 2 white ones, we'll go ahead and do the same thing. Okay. Alright, hopefully you have kind of studied that diagram, the wiring diagram that I shared with you. I took both relays and taped them together because they're going to be in the same location anyway. I went ahead and I put connector ends on one end of the 2 yellow wires, and on the other end I put a wire splice, which I will connect one to the positive side and one to the negative side, or one to one of the white side here, the white wire that we wrapped together that goes to this on the other end. Okay, so we've got the white, the silver, and the black, which we're not using the black. We'll go ahead and connect one of these yellow wires to the white and one to the silver. Okay, stick the white wire in there, hold it together while we clamp it shut so it doesn't come out. Alright, so that's in there now. I'll use these pliers because they can get a lot more pressure on it. Okay, so that is one of the yellow wires attached to the 2 white ones here. The other yellow wire we will attach to this one, but as you can see, it could stand to go in there a little further, so let's go ahead and snip this off a little shorter. Try to keep the metal shavings from going in the electronics there. Okay, so then we'll put this in here like so, and we'll go ahead and crimp that one with the pliers as well. Crimp it good. Okay. Alright, so now we have that, and we're not going to connect anything else here. We can go ahead and wrap this whole thing up with some electrical tape to strengthen it and protect it. Okay, I've got some handy dandy electrical tape here, and these are going to be separated at some point, but you know what, I'm going to leave them together, and we'll just stretch the tape out later. So I'll go ahead and wrap these up to kind of isolate them and indicate that we're done with that portion of this modification to this IKEA table. Alright, so now we've got that. We're going to take these two ends. We're going to go to our relays here. And if you look on the back of the relays, there are numbers. And if you look at the schematic that I shared with you, you'll see that number 30 is on the bottom. So we'll hook one of these to number 30 on one of the relays, and one of these to number 30 on the other relay. Okay, so we have started our wiring. Let's go ahead and make the next wire. I made my wire. I made kind of a longer one because our controller is going to be here in the middle of the desk, and we may want the switches, you know, closer to the edge somewhere. So I made these longer wires, and I put connectors on all four ends. We will put one on this corner. We can just shove it on there, and we'll do the same on the other switch. We'll put one on this corner. Okay, so then on the other end, we have these. We have our relays, and check your schematic. But one half of the switch will go on 86. I'm sorry, 87, the top one. And same with the other switch. One half will go on to the 87 terminal. Little number 87 indicated on the relay. So now you can see that our switches are here on the end of this wire, but we're not done. We still got more wiring to do. Okay, and we're done with this next wire. Here it is. You've got 4 of these little terminals on it, and then it goes to, that's where the positive for the power is going to come in later. This is where I patched it, and then we've got another terminal on here to go. Alright, we're going to go from the 87 terminal on one relay, on the first relay. We're calling it the first one. Alright, and that's on there nice and tight, to the 87 terminal on the next relay. And then all the way down to the end of that wire, we have a connector that will go to the other pin on. Okay, next comes power. And we already have this. It's a 24 volt power supply, although it says 35 volts. We don't ever want to use this plug and plug it into here again, because if we did, it could really mess things up. So to make sure that's not going to happen, we're going to go ahead and clip the end off of here. And there you go. The end is now cut off. And as you can see, there is 2 wires inside of that, which we need to expose. It seems to be the coax style, so very carefully make a slice down the side of the black coax without cutting yourself, of course. Okay, if you can see that, I went ahead, sliced down the side of the black rubber coax, not cutting too deeply, and pulled the center section out. Now we'll go ahead and just trim off that black rubber. We'll put the knife away, and we will separate the silver fluffy side or outside of the coax. Make sure you get all the strands. Don't leave any of them around the white side, because they could short out on you. Okay. And they would probably just burn away since, you know, they're so thin. Alright, so we got the white side. We're going to go ahead and strip that one. A little bit more maybe. There we go. Alright, so these are our power wires coming from this power supply that came with the desk. Okay, we've got the power supply on. We've got our handy dandy tester here. I would assume that this center is, and this isn't high voltage, it won't shock you if you touch them both. The center is the positive, and the negative, let's see. Yep, 24.6 volts. And if you turn it around and check it the other way, you get negative 24.6 volts. So I am correct in assuming that the white wire is the positive wire. So let's go ahead and connect. First, let's turn the power off. Let's go ahead and connect our wiring and do a test. Okay, I grabbed a couple of wires that I had in the drawer and some butt connectors, and I extended them. I do have some shrink tubing, which I can kind of put on there to maybe over the butt connectors here, and all the way down as far as they will go. And hopefully that will give it a little bit more strength. We don't want it to break near that little box on there. Okay, so tubing, and it's shrinking, honey. I shrunk the tubing. As you can see, it squeezes on there nice. Try not to get it too hot. I think most people use some sort of a little heat gun or a torch. I've got this handy dandy barbecue lighter. I guess that's my style of a torch. And then I'm even going to go as far as wrapping that whole thing with some electrical tape, just to kind of give it even a little more strength. Alright, now that that's done, we can commence our wiring. Now this is the side that showed on our diagram as being positive, connecting to the positive into the power. So we will go ahead and connect the positive end there. And the other switch here, this one, showed as the negative side of the power. And we're going to go ahead and hook that in there. Great. Alright, wiring is pretty much complete. Wow, looks like a lot. Looks like a lot of wiring here. Let's see, our IKEA plugs here. Let's go ahead. We have these two. We'll plug one in over here for this motor. Hopefully you can see that. And the other end will go all the way down here and plug in for this motor. Alright, so we have that much done. Oh, you know what? The guy down at the geek store told me I should install a resistor between the two wires that go to the motor. Simply because the power may come back and cause some issues with the 12, because these are 12 volt relays and not 24 volt relays, and this is a 24 volt system. So he gave me this resistor and told me to put it in between. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, update on the resistor. I went ahead, the two wires here that are connecting to those two that go out to the motor, I went ahead and clipped those one at a time, clipped and stripped, and now I'm going to reconnect them and include this resistor between them, like so. It doesn't look all that pretty, but it's there. And then I put the wire nuts on there to hold it together. Okay, now we're actually ready to plug everything in. Alright, hey guys, I just want to go over this schematic with you another time here and make sure we got it right. And this is our finished product here. And to some people that may look really confusing because there's a lot of wires on here. But these relays, okay, are this way in the schematic. And you can tell by looking at the pins, there are 3 of them that are vertical and 2 that are horizontal. And that is this way right here. So you can see the red line at the top of the schematic. That is the hot wire. It's actually going to the power supply. The power supply, the hot wire goes up and connects to the 2 top pins. Okay, and then it also connects to both of the switches. So each switch has, oh, that one came apart on me. Each switch has a hot wire connected to it, or positive side, from the power supply. And that is indicated in the diagram by the red line. So, so if you start here with the power supply, and the positive side will attach to the top post on both relays. It'll also attach to one side of each momentary switch. Okay, and then the negative side from the power supply attaches to the middle terminal and the left side terminal of each relay. Okay, and hopefully that's clear there. So that wire that we made that has 4 connectors on it, so one end connects to the negative side of the power, and then the other 4 will connect to the middle terminal and the side terminal of each relay, and then our ground wire would be complete. Okay, so you can see here that we have both the positive wire and the ground wire. So the 2 switches also have here it's indicated by a green wire and a purple wire. So the purple wire would connect to one of the relays on the right, and the green wire coming from the other switch would connect to the other relay on the right. And you can see that. Hopefully there's not too much glare on there. And you can see that the two motors that are on the table are together on these two wires, indicated by a purple and a yellow. So the purple and the yellow wires attach to both motors, and they attach to on the relays. They're attached to the bottom terminals. That one would be the purple one, that one would be the yellow one. So that's pretty much it. It really isn't as complicated as it might seem. And if you follow this schematic and it looks just like that, then you'll have it right and it'll work. Now the guys over there at the Gizmos place told me I needed to put this resistor or capacitor, I believe it's a resistor, here in between the two wires. That go to the motors, because the relays are 12 volt relays and this is a 24 volt system. This resistor would protect the relays from the voltage coming back. So I put it in between the two wires that go to the motors. So hopefully that is everything you need to know. We're going to go over this real quick. On here we got positive on the top. We've got a momentary switch, negative, negative, momentary switch, negative, negative, down the center of the relays. And then on the bottom we have the two motor terminals. So it's just like it is here on the schematic. And I will add I'll put this schematic on the screen for a few extra seconds so you can get a screenshot of it. Hope that helps.
Alright guys, go ahead and get a screenshot so you can go back and reference this photo. I appreciate it. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again. Okay, so here it is, the final product. We have it plugged in to our table, and you can see we press one button and the table lowers down, and press the other button and the table will rise to the top. And once it gets to the top, you can tell it's there because it doesn't go any further, and you just let off the buttons. We have put some weight on this table, and it seems to lift it without any effort whatsoever. This thing is amazing. It works great. Please enjoy, and make sure to subscribe and comment if this video helped you in any way.